Hey, how you doing? Let's get on to some learning. I'm gonna go over the exchange. Did we already do that? Hold on, let me make sure. Okay. Hold on, let me go to the studies really quick. Gonna do some exchange. E4, A6, D4, D5. And then the true exchange variation is E takes, and then there's a couple lines that you can go down. There's bishop D3. There's knight F3. And then there's knight C6, C3. I'm surprised they don't have C4. Surprised about that. I'll put that in there. And then we'll go down each line. So bishop D6, C3, knight C6. You could do that. Our solid line would be C3. C6 could actually be played here too. And then if knight here, you can and then if bishop comes out to pin, you could come there, and if knight comes out, then you have bishop here, and you have a certain type of line like that. So this is Nick Defer's Furman's line. Pardon me. Knight F3, knight G, E7, castles, bishop G4, rook E1, bishop D7, knight BD2, and then a castle kingside, H3, and bishop F5. And this is considered to be equal at this point. So let's go down f3. The f3 line is bishop d6. c4, knight f3, r6, knight c, castles, and c takes d, knight bd7, bishop g5 to pin the knight, h6, h4, and then knight bd6 to take scope on the pawn, bishop e2, and bishop e7. This is one line here. Knight c3, bishop b4 to pin. Okay. Bishop d3. Knight c6. Knight e2. G2. And castles. Bishop f5. Knight g3. She takes. Queen takes. Castles. And then knight e2. And queen d7 in about equal position. c4 is a little different here. Because what you could actually do in theory, take, he gets to develop, and then you can develop via there, get your bishop out. So like if he develops a knight, you can develop your bishop here, be castles, you then can castle, and if rook comes out, you have bishop there, and you're still good. Okay, that's kind of the exchange line. That's the main exchange line. So now we'll go down and take a look at a game. Yeah, I'm gonna basically be out of town for on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I'll be back Monday night. So just wanted to let Chess Cruncher team know about that. I'm gonna be away up for just that amount of time. I don't want you to think that I have gone missing or anything. Okay, let's do it to it. I'm not doing a Marshall game. Let's check to make sure. Let me make sure that Okay, we did that one. Did that one. Ah, this is it right here. Marshall's white. My opponent in this game was a promised young German player who was really good. The sad thing is his name is E. Kohner, and he perished. He was this game was in 1906, and he sadly died in the war, the World War One. But a great, that's what Frank Marshall said, was a really brilliant mind that was lost. That's sad. Surprising enough, this developed one. There's actually knight to c6 is actually a good move too. But the young German player played that. So black's playing this. That's what I should say. And so bishop to white played bishop g5, and bishop to e6 was played by black. Bishop b2 would allow pawn takes. Is not a very fun response. Because then if takes, and then takes, and you're up a whole pawn. So it wouldn't be a fun experience. That's what Marshall was saying. It'd be not so fun. Marshall played e4, which is a type of Albin counter gambit. It's a type. I'm going to say really good for white here, though. Because white has 3 pieces advanced. Bishop pawn takes. You're saying that at this point, rather than a4, equally strong as bishop takes. Bishop takes. Oh, queen takes. Sorry, queen takes, and then e5 is either case black finds himself in a serious predicament. But he went down a different line of predicament. He's saying that if he had played d take, Bishop B5 would be check. Let me see here. As in the test, but not. Knight takes bishop. Not knight takes bishop because of then c4 and black's winning here. Not fun. Bishop takes. We have a check. Exclam, and then queen knight to ed7 or bd7. Not this line that he was saying, because of here would take, and it would be a deadlift fork. So always be on guard for those. Oops, wrong. Hey. Wow. I have to take a look at that. How's it going? Good. It seems like you're playing much better, so that's good. As long as Team Chess Cruncher's improving, it's always a good day. My computer, it's having a problem. There we go. Come on. There we go. So you're white. How many minutes was the game? 5 minutes? Was the game a 5-minute game, or what was the... Hey, well, you know what's kind of... yeah. You know what's kind of interesting is we just went over a game that's somewhat similar to this that Marshall played against a up and coming player in 2000, not in 2000, in 1900, was it 190, what's the date? Oh, 1906. Sadly, the really up and coming player lost their life in World War One. It wasn't a, that Marshall said that was sad because the player was a really great player, but yeah, this is the Cataline. I thought it's the Cataline. Kind of looks like a Ninja Indian though. Kramnik, yeah, yeah, but he left us with a really good game though. He did lose, but it was an interesting game that we're still working on. So the game still lives on, and Marshall brought it up and is going over it, so that's good. That's why I always talk about what is your legacy going to be when the time's done. What are you going to leave behind for the next generation? Bishop takes f6 because a lot of the greats have left a lot of books behind, like Reinfeld and Horowitz. All those great authors left us a lot of books. They may have departed to be with the Lord, but their legacy still lives on through the kids reading it. Okay, c takes. This is interesting. Oh wow, yeah, I guess he did blunder there, didn't he? I mean, your opponent did blunder. That was kind of odd. So basically you'd have to take here, bishop would take, takes. Or probably at this point, you'd probably want to take here, and then after takes there, bishop takes. Ah. Yeah, that's the only problem with pre-moving. Yeah, this. I think you're still better here. I still prefer to play as black here, even though you're still facing a 2800, which that really shouldn't, you know, dissuade you from playing aggressive. Which this is a pretty aggressive opening. So let's see here. You're up probably a couple pawns here. When blitz and bullet, it does it. You can actually be down material and still win. So knight f. Let's see. If we played, let's say we played rook here. Pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes. I still like black's position. I mean white's position here. I like white. Yep, white's still good. Even though we had to exchange a rook for a knight, we're still taking scope on the weaknesses of these 2 points. So a rook would have to basically come up. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. The knight is going to be your bane of a problem. So, and at this moment, if let's say black doesn't want to, go down that road, you can always then just retreat back. And if they push, you can always just retreat right back into a nice little safe outpost. And then if they think about trading, then you can trade and you're attacking here, so the rook could come up. But I still prefer playing white here, because this one move is a problem. Because he can't really take the pawn, because if he does, then you get a mate, so he can't really protect this. And so he's going to have to play something like this. Then what you can do is come over and grab this, and if he plays there, you can bring your rook in. And I like the king. I like the placement of all of white's pieces. So it just if you don't have to deal with a knight when you're up in exchange like that, you're up so much material. It's you're gonna win. That knight, the knight is the one, I call it the thorn in the side, because in a blitz game, a knight can really wreak havoc on the board in a bullet game. Because what they'll do is they'll fork all your pieces, and you'll be like, ugh. So if you ever get low in material and you get down to a knight and rook and it's low in time bullet, you potentially could still draw in the king. Okay, so there he's going. So your opponent's going up there. I'm wondering, would rook would rook c8 be an okay move here? And then if takes check comes up. Can't play that because then he'd win using a pin. So we can't do that there. We gotta always consider those type of sacrifices. Okay, back here. Now that idea does work, the retreat, because it's protected. Two rooks are protecting. Right now would be kind of an interesting take. Oh, nope, sorry, can't take there. A little too hasty on that. Rook's protecting it. Let me see here. Your opponent is putting up pretty good resistance. Probably maybe knight f4. And if he plays there, you can always place here. Play your queen there. Yeah, this is a kind of tough one. I think you could actually potentially see here. Okay, so that wouldn't be a good exchange. Could you here push this move? Takes, and then when this rook takes, then play queen takes d. I think this is a really good line here. I think taking the knight was actually would have been a really stellar move. This would have been a shell shock, sacking a piece back, and then winning this pawn. And look at your pawn chain. You got a monster of a chain. Nice job. Nice game there. Yep. That's right. You put up a good resistance though, but nope. It tells us one thing: don't over don't underestimate them or overestimate them. Either one is bad. Because like what you said, 2800s are human too. And that's 100% right. Uh-oh. D4. Somewhat similar, but there wasn't a D2. There we go. We'll get back to where we priorly were. Kind of an Albin counter gambit type of setup, or an Albin so bishop takes. Yep, exactly. This was an interesting combination that that was actually played. Knight takes bishop, pawn takes, and then pawn takes, and then queen, and then the rook comes over to g8, and then queen comes to h5, king e2, and then you take the pawn check, king b2, queen h5 check, here his opponent actually played king e7. They were talking that if king takes here, that rook d1 followed by rook d3 and rook to g3 is power. So white castled. Had black okay, rook takes pawn, king rook goes to e1 or fe1. Knight f6, queen to h3, queen d6, bishop to d3, with the idea of plopping here. With the knight coming in here, forking the king and queen. Maybe I made a mistake with the knight move here. Oh yeah, I did. Yep. Of course, if queen takes, check, king takes, and then pawn b4, and this actually potentially wins. I'm thinking it wins 3 pawns, or 2 pawns, or at least a pawn. And these are 2 connected masters, and a rook and king can handle these 3. Queen to h4 check, rook b3, rook f6, right? Bishop takes, queen takes bishop, queen e4, exclam, and white resigned here. These were actually 3 back-to-back exclams. 3. And the same thing happens after takes, rook takes, yeah. And if he tries coming back, actually if he tries this here, so he can't even try that. Let's see here. He says if that's actually right here. So this is where it ends right here. So he has a line that you can go over. Rook to oh cool. Oh sorry, wrong. Alright, sorry, that was. Let's see here. How is this? What was the queen move? Oops, I have the wrong queen spot. Sorry, queen here. That's the reason. King e2. And then queen there. There we go. It's a single exclams, yeah. And then here, now this makes more sense. Rotates knight. Queen takes rook. And then queen takes d7 is checkmate, using the, like I like to call it, puzzle rush mate. And so what I'll do is I'll pull up another board and we'll do some puzzles. Okay, let's get some puzzles set up and then I'll be right back after I get that taken care of. Get your one. Come on. There we go. Let's do it to it. Be right back and I'll get this. I believe this is 100% right. So You guys want to give her a stab at it? Okay, good. Do you want to give it a? Do you want to give it a shot? Okay. Yep. There you go. You got it. There we go. Okay, wait the mate too. do you think the move is? You got the line? Queen c4, king takes c4, and then knight to b6. You have to draw the queen, the king away, and this threatens mate. So these all have to be forcing. Yeah. And then this is taken, that's attacked, and then these two spots are taken. So all these places are taken, and we got a check. So we're good to go. These are all based on forcing move sequences, so we just need to look for the most forcing move. And even a quiet move sometimes is considered a forcing move. It just forces your opponent to react to it at that point. Then you're doing like what Jeremy Silman said, reactive chess. Oh, what's going on here? I'm gonna do the pawns first. Bishop, queen. He's got another bishop, another rook. Let me see here. Have that. Ding. Oops, I almost forgot the king. There we go. Knight, white to move mate 2. So am I missing something? Nope, I'm good. Thought I was missing something. Well, I'm thinking it's, let me see here. Let me see here. I think it's queen. I'm thinking it's queen. D3, bishop takes D3, then knight D4. I think it's queen check, which then you're forcing mate, so the bishop has to react to it. Now that the rook pins the bishop, knight to d4 is mate. What happens after bishop? Hold on, let me see. So what happens after bishop takes c5? Pawn takes c5. I think it's b takes c5. And I think your opponent's perfectly okay at this point. I think it's still, let me see. I think it potentially still could be, nope, not mate anymore, because he can actually come forward. This bishop's vital holding b4. sure about this one's a little interesting. Okay. Right, I forgot that this unhooks there. You have two ways of doing it. Okay. Interesting one, huh? That was an interesting one. Did you have any questions on it though? Did you have any moves that you wanted to apply to the thing before we went over it? Okay. Well, the move went. Oops, not there. The move was Queen D7, Knight takes, and then Bishop F7 was the checkmate. So. We I always get my pawn chain set up before I do anything. Then I know where to place everything better. Boom, boom. Oh, I need to place a bishop there. So knight dash two bishops. Knight here and two rooks. I almost forgot the king. Let me see if we got this. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Alright. White to move mate in 2. White to move mate 2. There you go. Let's see if there's anything. Is there anything else? Nope, I don't think so. We'll do one more and then we'll go into Reassess Your Chess with Jeremy Silman. Do you have it? There you go. I'm going to test your game knowledge and reassess your chess here. Oh, wait. I have to tell you, I'm gonna be gone for until Monday the 17th. So I'm gonna be gone the 13th, the 14th, the 15th, and the 16th. I'll be back the 17th at night. The again, but I'm gonna be gone for those days, out of town. So I wanted to let you know, if you don't see that I'm on, it's not because I disappeared. It's just because I'm gone for those days. Okay. Let's see about testing your endgame, not endgame, but your imbalanced knowledge. Yep. Well, yeah, I think yeah, I'm probably gonna be doing that. Yeah. Well, maybe. Let me see here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm. That's actually where I was thinking about going. Okay. Oh, you are cool. So that's cool. But So I gotta make sure I got all this. Let's see, perfect so far, because this is a really interesting imbalance position. So let's do it to it. So let's put it in our studies. Okay. I got to get rid of this one. And then this is actually a game between Niall Short versus it's white to move. Niall's white and Timon is black. Timon. This is what Jeremy Soman says about it, and so this might give you a little bit of heads up. It's clear that white is is in complete control of the position. He owns the d file, thus in turn puts black's rooks passive, and his queen is firmly encroached or entrenched on one of black's weakest kingside dark squares. On the other hand, black can hardly make a move, which means that white doesn't have to fear any incoming fire. If you are agonizing over a plan without consulting the imbalances, you might become frustrated. However, if you merely ask, I own the king's dark squares. What other piece can infiltrate onto them? Then you can be faced with a limited amount of opportunities to choose from. First, you have a knight. Then potentially you can maybe later on get your queen there. So there's really, or you can move your king into g5 if you wanted to. So which one of those would you want to move? Your queen, knight, or king to g6 or g5? Which one? If you were saying king to f4, you were 100% spot on there, because that's actually an exclam. See, knight to f2, I mean f5, g5, not f5, g5 would be good, but you really can't do anything after that. So not a good move. I'd probably give it a dubious move, thing. So this is an exclam. So g5 is knight g5 obvious candidate, but leaping to a dark square, threatening to chop off the knight. Unfortunately, queen takes would be not fun for us. Rook f4 takes up residence on actually back here, sorry. So what he's saying is you have rook f4, which takes up residence there, but the only problem is the queen would take the knight, the rook, and see you later for the rook. And so now we have to check that we've checked the rook, we've checked the queen, we've checked everything. The last piece to check, and not the least, but the king. And this leaves only one other piece that can drive down the dark square highway. White king. But now we suddenly run into our beginner's training condition. Conditioning. Our beginner training condition, which tells us to keep the king at home until the end game is reached. And it's this fact that makes this game so charming. That's what Jeremy Silman says. This shocking move, King F4, has many ideas behind it. If you had a bishop on D2, you would hesitate to play. You wouldn't hesitate to play queen to H6. So what he's saying is, if you had a bishop here, let's say you had a light square bishop here. For white, you had a dark square bishop. You wouldn't hesitate dropping it in here and threatening mate. But we sometimes overlook the most simple moves, which is what Smyslov, we studied in Endgames, was a master at doing, was finding the most simplistic moves that actually were the right ones. And King F4 is perfect. Bishop to C8, bishop C8, then king G5, and there's not much to stop. If he takes here, we actually infiltrate into H6, and it's game, set, and match. And if he goes there, we try coming up to a king to H7. First of all, we can play check. When the king goes back, we can actually take check. When he comes up here, we can take check. When the king comes back, we go king F6. And now there's nothing that black can do but get checkmated two different ways. Oops, sorry, that's not checkmate, sorry. Checkmated one way, I mean. Or you could checkmate this way if you wanted. G4 would work too. G4 and the queen. This is we're going to set up a Kramnik game really quick. Oh, sorry, Kamsky. I'm going to put a dot. This is what Jeremy Silman says as we enter the talking to the board. Everyone has some sort of intuition, internal dialogue when it's their turn to move. So this is what I wanted to read to you. It's a bit long, but I wanted to read it to you anyways. Most players stare blankly at the board and think. I go there and he goes there. I go there and he goes there. It's pure calculation. usually based on fear, aggression, or simply the desire to find something, anything, that seems reasonable. However, if I can stop you from calculating and ask, can you verbally break this position down for me? The odds are that your answer would be basically not good. You wouldn't be able to express it very well. Make no mistakes about this. My given moment, you would be able to, after we learn the imbalances, lecture on this to other players about the pros and cons of the position that you're in, and then you can put your thumb on the pulse of the position. If you can do that, then you've acquired basically the imbalance. It's like asking the directions to like a location to somebody. Unless you pull over, you're like you don't know where you're going in like say a city. We'll just say New York, New York. We're just going to give that an example. And you pull over and you talk to somebody. You say, "I'm looking for this place in New York, New York." And they say it's down the street to the right 3 blocks and all that stuff. If you don't know down to the, and then they give you a cafe and they give you all these different things, you haven't been to let's just say you haven't been to New York, New York before. So you're saying that wasn't very much help. You gave me a bunch of locations. You never directed me, down maybe 1 block to the right and you'll be there. You just said there. You see all these businesses. Basically, that's what Jeremy Silman's saying is, if we tried to express what we're calculating, it would sound very jumbled up and like jibble jabble, or as they like to say it, or as the Bible says, or as the word says, is it would sound babblish. And so to know basically the position and be able to explain the imbalances and then get an idea based on it, isn't that amazing? The first step in the ability to discuss, make sure you are aware of any crucial threats by your opponent, and also do a quick search for basic tactical themes that might be present. This usually is done subconsciously by players 1800 and up. However, if you are at a lower rating, you are prone to blunders or feel that you have serious tactical issues, then it's a good idea to take a few moments to get on top of the stuff. Once you've made sure that your Thor's hammer isn't going to descend on basically you, it's time for us to insert the imbalances for both sides. Then ask the board in the internal dialogue, what move or series of moves tries to take advantage of these facts? Pretty simple. Let me stress once again that you should not be after plan per se. Don't allow yourself to get into the description by using pawns or pass pawns or stuff like that. Say why it is. My opponent has my opponent has 2 bishops. I have 2 knights. So I want to make the position closed. And if I lock down the center, then my 2 knights will become better than my opponent's 2 knights. My opponent's 2 bishops. Therefore, I will have an advantage and stuff like that. Or if you have more advanced pawns on the queen side, you have more space on the queen side. And I'll show you, there's a game here, and we'll go over this game really efficiently. How long's the game? No, not bad at all. Not bad at all. That's only to move 17. Perfect. Okay, so E, and we'll take a look after the first 11 moves. We'll discuss what the imbalances are. Okay, E4, C6, D4, D5. So Caro-Kann defense. E5, advanced Caro-Kann. Bishop F5. See, the idea with the with this, keeping this move here, the pawn to D4, is it could gain space. So in theory, you could potentially play a F6, F3, and if then your opponent took, D takes E5, you would have full central control. But and I can even express, when you played E5, you surrendered, in your opponent's mind, you surrendered the F5 square. So your opponent made an idea about developing his light square bishop, and potentially after his light square bishop is outside the pawn chain, he's going to go E6 and then liberate his dark square bishop. Knight F. So the knight goes to F3, E6. There we go. See, we talked about it. Bishop E2. E2. C5. Bishop E3. C takes D. Knight takes D. And then knight E7. Knight D2. There's no reason to take the bishop. Knight BD7. Knight F3. Bishop G4. Castle kingside. Bishop takes knight. Knight takes knight. Knight takes bishop. And then G6. Okay, now let's talk about these imbalances really quick, and then we'll continue onward. Hold on. Let me get a sip, and then we'll get started. Okay, first imbalance that we see stands out right in our face. We have a for white pros. We have a far approaching pawn on E5. So what that means is it's taking a lot of space. We have a lot of space in the center. We also have more development at this moment. We have two bishops out. We also, in theory, if we can trade off this bishop for this knight, we would have the two bishops. So white has an advantage of space in the center, more space in the center, and he has four pieces developed. The queen, not the queen yet, but the queen will be, the bishop and the knight. Two bishops and the knight. And so black has only two pieces out, in theory. White has three, if you want to consider the bishops and that. So that's the imbalance. So here's what Jeremy Silman says. Let's see how we did. And now we gotta look at the pros for black really quick before we do that. Okay, the pros is this. We will be able to black has a solid pawn chain. He hasn't made any weaknesses, and potentially he's going to be able to fianchetto his bishop to a really nice diagonal, the A1 to H8 diagonal. White here, here's going to the plan. Bishop G7 ties. This is the way it says E5. The main pulse is to take advantage of, for white, is the hole on F6, so we can basically place a knight in there if we could. And so let me see here. So that's the idea. So this is a weakness for white to implant a knight on, are here, these two spots, and that would be check. So here, these are spots you can take weaknesses on, so squares. And so white plays C4 here. Black's this move, which ties down and opens up the position, makes a lot of sense here. However, if he captured on d5, captured on d5, my knight will find a great home. Let me see. Oh, I see. If he captures d takes c5, d takes c4, then what we could potentially do is, if we had to trade queens or pin, and then try to get a knight somehow in here. So bishop there. It's the bishop versus the two bishops versus the bishop and knight, as Jeremy Simmons was talking about. So bishop g. White diagonal here. He's about to castle, so I'd follow up with c takes d5, c takes c5, knight takes d5, and I don't be worse with a knight like that. I don't know what'll be worse with a knight like that. So now we can take a scope and say, what do we want to do here? Let's see if we can stop castling. Castling can be stopped by bishop to c5. Of course, my king is in the center, so I'm not going to do anything that's out of character. So if something like this, knight takes e5, would be actually a mistake here. So that's why he plays bishop f. This is actually what he promotes to the main line. This right here would have been a double question mark blunder because of knight takes knight, bishop takes, and then bishop b5, and I would have to resign. However, I have no problems whatsoever with the exchange of the dark squared bishops if we have to. So that was kind of the idea. So queen c1, rook c8, bishop takes, king takes. Oops. Knight d4, queen d1, knight takes, check, queen takes, and then king takes, and rook ac1, and then king g7. And white here agreed to a draw at this point. Okay, I have absolutely nothing time to tighten up and make a draw, and indeed the game ended in 43 moves, and it was a draw. But if you notice that back here, let's see, how much time do we have? Perfect. I think we'll just do a quick discussion at the very right here. And after this here, after this move, the board cries out for c4, and then takes, knight takes, and okay, I think we'll stop at this point, and then we can pick up this next time I come back. Okay. Do you have any questions? I'll give you a minute to think if you have any questions about what we talked about, imbalances. And while that's going on, I'll talk to you. I'll give you a minute. Is this: we don't just look at the board and start calculating moves here, moves there. What you have to do is, like the Aikido principle, you have to see what did your opponent give up, and what advantages do you have, and what advantages don't you have. Okay, I'll wait for another 10 seconds, see if you have anything. Take that as a no. Okay. Want to thank you all for logging on. Yeah, I'm gonna be gone for for till the 17th, and then I'll be back on. So don't worry, I haven't disappeared. And one thing we have to do is remember that the Lord's in control. He'll watch over me on our journey, and we'll continue to keep pushing forward. Remember, every long journey begins with one small step. You become what you think about. So if you think thoughts of worry when you sit down at the board, you're gonna have worry issues, and you won't be able to play to the fullest of your ability. And so that's why you have to always have the fearless mind of the Lord Jesus with you always. And don't give up, get up. Remember that we do reach plateaus in our minds, but we just have to, for a while, be okay with being in the plateau, but always be trying to push past to the next plateau. And knowing is not enough, you must apply. Willing is not enough, you must do. So that's also a good motto. And Bruce Lee said he feared not the person who practiced 10,000 individual kicks, but he feared the person who practiced one kick 10,000 times. So we're going to be doing good. We're going to be continuing, and we have to always remember that the Lord's in control, and treasure your victories and learn from your losses. It's very vital to do that. And remember that mistakes do not define you. It's how you handle the mistake that defines you as a chess player and a person in your life. Always remember, though, to bring your Grandmaster glasses and to keep pushing forward in your studies and having fun when you're at the board. Having fun, whatever the result is, you can learn something from it. Okay, and remember, we're chess crunchers. Chess crunchers hang up their coats, they hang up their hats, they sit down and study when most won't. A chess cruncher does, and that makes all the difference. And as Wesley So says to our Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless. I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. Not tomorrow. The 17th, sorry. I'm so used to coming back on every day, but the 17th. And I'll see you then, okay? So remember, what did Hannibal Smith said? Think about this till I come back, and always on the Lord Jesus, always. Think this. He loved it when a plan came together, but remember, a good plan is a plan that you make your opponent do what you want to do, and that is part of your plan that you're going to implement, forcing moves. Great job. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Hoorah, be blessed, and I'll see you the 17th. Bye-bye.